This is Cohesion Connect with your host, 𝐊𝐞𝐲𝐬, and special guest, Martin Ricketts, the Digital Samurai.
Today the twins are sharing tools, tips, and techniques for developing intellectual property and building a self-sufficient standalone business. And now, here's Michelle.
Hello and welcome to Cohesion Connect. I'm Michelle Ricketts and I'm here with my special guest, my brother Martin. Hey Martin.
Hey Michelle, great to be here.
Wonderful to have you here today with us, and great to see everybody who's going to be joining us today. Come on in, ask your questions. We're going to be talking about something juicy today that's top of mind for a lot of entrepreneurs and employers. It is team retention. It's really something that people are having a hard time with, being able to retain their team. And we are going to give you 5 keys that will help. Now, in the corporate world, we really do evaluations a lot, Martin. It's something that employers, we review, and sometimes it's annually or quarterly. It really depends on the company, but you do reviews. In my experience, I haven't seen that in the entrepreneurial world. They're really not doing this type of thing. So we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like and how you can enhance your team relationship and be able to do some other things that will allow you as well to help retain your team. So that if somebody leaves or decides that they want to move on, or you have to let them go, it's not a surprise. Everybody is aware and they know what's happening in the conversation. So we're going to get into that and show how critical it is to really get a closer connection with your team and see the actions that you can take. So, Martin, let me ask you this. A team huddle, is that something that you've ever done, getting the team together and having a huddle? Like a football team?
Not really. Most of our teams are remote and all over the place, so we haven't really done that. But tell me something about that.
So a team huddle versus a team meeting is tip 1. And what that really is getting your team together and being able to have a chat. It's what's happening with you today? What did we do tomorrow? What are you working on? And really being able to see what's happening with your team. How are they? How are they feeling? And ask them that. When I have a client come into a session with me, it's the first thing I ask. And you can't say okay or fine, because that's just an auto response. So you really want to have them say, how are you feeling? Good, bad, pissed off, whatever it is. They really want to talk about that and understand how they're feeling. Then you want to talk about what's happening. So a team huddle, and this has been really popular in the IT space. And the key difference is that you're standing up. So they're not sitting down, they're standing up. Martin, do you think you could do a remote stand up with your team?
Yeah, that's a good idea. And what I do, being in the martial arts, I do, when my watch tells me I need to get up, I do stand up and I do some info. So we do a little bit of that. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you can do that with the team, and whether they're remote or they're on site with you, stand up. It's going to be 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes tops. We're going to talk about regular meetings and another Cohesion Connect. We'll get into that. And that's a whole different thing. But a huddle, it's quick. It's go around the room, figure out what's happening with the team, and really can get you to know your team better and what's happening with them. Number 2, evaluations. So we want to look at two-way evaluations, not just one way. It's not an interrogation. It's not a berating. It's a conversation. And you're going to put together a document, whether electronic or physical or both, that has the criteria. So how are they performing? Did they show up on time? Are they getting the work done? Are they showing initiative? Martin, you encourage your team to show initiative into how, and critical thinking you like to talk about it as, right? Critical thinking.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we do that helps is, I heard experts say once, reward the behavior you want. So we have a system for doing that, and we reward them for doing specific things the way we want. So yeah, I really think that's a good idea.
Excellent. And so when you're actually having the team be able to be in that two-way conversation as you're doing the evaluation. You set it up, and this one is a meeting. You want to do a sit-down meeting to do an evaluation or a review, but you set it up. And when you bring somebody on, you're going to have a probation period. But when people are already on your team and they've been on the team for a while, that's when you want to do an evaluation. Don't make it just an annual thing. You can do quarterly, and those are formal, where you actually set the time and the timing for it and the criteria. But you also want to maybe do some informal. So your meeting, you might say, hey, come in, let's chat for a few minutes. So that, especially if you see that a team member's performance has changed, their demeanor has changed. Martin, you have a remote team, so it's a little bit harder to see what their demeanor is, but you can tell by their communication, right? If there's something going on, if there's something that is not the same as usual.
Yeah, that's true. Michelle, how would a small, a person with one shop or single entrepreneur with a few people, how do they know how to structure that? Is there a process, a particular way of doing it in regards to what you would say and that kind of stuff? A template?
Yes, absolutely. And I can share a template if somebody's interested. I can share a template with them, but it really is setting out that criteria, as I mentioned, and having the different items that you want to look at with them, and then being able to go through that in your discussion. So you both complete it ahead of time so that you can see what you think and what they think. You're not completing it together, because they're going to be different. If they're all the same, that can be good and bad. Somebody may not be saying exactly how they feel and exactly what's true. But you definitely want to have something that's completed ahead of time and brought into the discussion, brought into the meeting, so that you can both review it and see where are you aligning, where are you have differences, and what are those differences, and discuss them. Is there additional training that's needed? Martin, you do a lot of training with your team. So if they come and you say they think they're good at something and you're saying they're not, then what do? You go ahead and do some training, right?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I'm wondering too is, how do you get them to not say what they think you want to hear? I mean, especially I have that issue with my young African apprentice. Again, I said, don't say what I want to hear. Tell me what the problem is. If you have a problem, because it's got to be two-way, right, Michelle? I mean, we make mistakes too as the owners of businesses and the employers. So you want to get feedback from the people, not lecture. So how do you get feedback that's real and create an atmosphere where they feel that they can say something, if there's a problem?
Absolutely. And it is a challenge, but it's a trust factor. And initially you don't know each other well when they first start with you or with an employer. So it's that trust factor and developing that. It's almost social media, know, like, and trust, that they develop with you. And that's when they start to become more real, more open. Part of it is you also sharing with them things about yourself, so they get to know you. You're not just the boss. They get to know you as an individual, and that way they see that you'll share and see how you feel. So if you're having a day and you're saying, guys, I'm not feeling 100% on my game today, I'm just going to share that with you. I just got some stuff going on. They see that you're human, first of all, but they also get to know you a bit. It's not about diminishing who you are as the boss, as the leader, but it's being human. That's really the way that people start to trust you.
One of the martial arts concepts that we use is called Shoshin. Shoshin means beginner mindset. And one of the things I've tried really hard to do is admit when I am wrong, make a mistake, and tell my apprentice, okay, that was my fault, and take responsibility. We had a communication issue, and I was at first saying, well, you didn't do this, but then I realized, okay, well, my protocol says I should have communicated better. And so I told them it was my fault. Let's implement a strategy to stop that. So making sure that you are also having a beginner mindset, you are also coachable, and you're showing that you make mistakes too as the boss, as the leader, that I think is really important. Michelle, do you agree?
Very important, very important. And I really want to stress the fact that it's a two-way learning. We learn from everyone. I have an intern program that I'm part of, and utilizing the interns, I determined from two of them, I learned something about YouTube from one, I learned something about Clockify from another. So we have to, as leaders, be open to learning as well. And so that's absolutely key, Martin. Shoshin, beginner mind. I love it.
I learned a lot from my apprentice, and you learn a lot from teaching if you're open to it. And that's definitely the best way to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then the last 2 points I'll make on this is we've talked a little bit about this too, but it's got to be an open dialogue in a review or an evaluation, and do not tie it to compensation. A lot of times I was in the change room after working out the other day, and I heard two millennials talking about the fact that they'd had a review and one of them said, well, I didn't get a raise. That's when you're tying it to the evaluation to compensation. That should not be. They need to be two so totally separate things. You're evaluating where they are, how they're doing. Compensation is a separate conversation at a separate time. And if you start that way, they will not equate the two to be together. So you're having your review. Maybe they're 6 months apart. Maybe they're 3 months apart. Maybe whatever it is, but do not tie them together. You will set yourself up for failure if you do that.
That's interesting, Michelle. I hadn't actually known that, but that's a really good idea. And it's about what they think, right? It's about their perception.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you could always even have a separate evaluation meeting for the compensation part, not an evaluation, a separate meeting for the compensation part that you set up. And that's an actual meeting where you talk about that. And that's really how you should do that and not tie those two together. So moving on, let's go to key 3. So creating team building or bonding opportunities. And that is very critical. To feel like they want to be part of the community, to feel like you have a culture within your organization, somebody has to feel as if they belong. And to do that, you need to have them get to know the team. Now, everybody's going to say, well, this is so hard with remote work or hybrid work. And yes, it's harder, but it's not impossible. Think about things like a scavenger hunt online. I actually did one with an organization and it was pretty cool. It was almost like the Indiana Jones kind of thing, Martin, where they were doing that. You can do team trivia. You can even watch a movie together. You can send them a coupon for popcorn or a gift card, send that to their home if you have remote workers, or give them funds to get something themselves, and then put a movie on where you are and have everybody watch the movie. It's not the same experience as going to it, but you can talk about it, different things that you do with the movie as a team. Martin, I know you do something called gamification with your team. What's that?
Well, yeah, gamification is using game mechanics, leaderboards, prizes, you win, to get people to incentivize the behavior you want. Now, there are platforms that do all this stuff, but even just basic gamification tactics, as I mentioned earlier, you get the behavior you incentivize. And if you want more of that, incentivize it. So we have badges. We have, cool designs, badges, and awards. And we have awards for things like being efficient. And we have an award for following protocols. So whatever that behavior you want. And they're tied to compensation, so they get money for those awards. But even if they don't, recognition and status are really big, especially with the younger generations. Gamification research shows that status, not money, is the number one driver for most people, right? And people think it's money, but it's not. It's status. And that is well proven. So you give them something that shows status, recognition, and that's a really good way of rewarding the behavior that you want to see more of.
Well, and Martin, you actually touched on our 5th tip, our 5th key, which is recognition. So we'll come back to that one. But what about team building? How do you use gamification to help bond the team and get the team together?
Well, we also use infographics because, again, we're remote. So we use infographics and we teach people to work together. We teach people to work as a team. That's a decision. So at the beginning, because we don't want to pit people against each other. We want them to work as a team. So the whole team rises together or fails together. So that's a very specific thing that we did to make sure that it's not one against the other, right? So you really want to make sure that if this person can't do that, then it's not, well, I just didn't happen. It's just that, well, make it happen, find an alternative, make sure that you've got somebody else to do that job. So it really is about making the team responsible for the thing, not just individuals.
Yes, and that's great. It brings me up to my next point, which is talking about the opportunities to work as a team. In corporate, we did this a lot where we said, it takes a village. So and in your case, Martin, it actually is a village with your team, but it really is the opportunity to work together and be able to bring everyone up. It rises all boats, as they say, and working together. In sales, we did a lot of collaboration with different parts, whether legal, finance, and sales, and that allowed us to work together and collaborate. The other thing that you can do to create team building is brainstorming. So it can be brainstorming for what do you want to do for a team building exercise, or it can be brainstorming for work. What are we going to do about this challenge or problem or project that we face? And if you have different people lead the brainstorm or lead the team, that will allow others who want to become leaders get better at it, and others who you see could be a leader, but they're really not necessarily really realizing that. It could allow them to come into their own and really find that leadership quality that you see that they may not even realize they have. So creating a team building opportunities and really being able to get the team doing things together is really critical, again, to help with your retention. So we're going to move on to number 4.
That's right. Team stuff is really important. And again, if you use these incentives, gamification, and these other things, then you'll get the behavior that you want. It really does work. I mean, incentivizing the behavior you want to see really works well.
Yeah, excellent. And so then we're going to move on to number 4. So that's advancement and development opportunities. So everybody would like to know where they're going. Where is this going to take me? What opportunity do I have within the organization? And if there isn't something that they can move into or move up to, then how can you help them to advance being as an individual, and they may move on to another organization and another opportunity? Gone are the days where you spend life in a job. That's a baby boomer and before that type of thing. It doesn't happen anymore. Millennials like to move on. Martin, you know about millennials moving into different positions and doing different things.
Yeah, that's very true. We're fortunate in that our program uses a targeted learning process that helps them find their brilliance, what we call their superpower. And that means that they're going to be passionate about what they're doing. To me, it seems obvious that that's the way education should be and processes should be, but not everyone does that. But the more they like what they're doing and love what they're doing, don't make people do things they don't like. You're not going to get good performance. So by helping them figure out what their core competency is, you're going to get better performance out of everyone.
Absolutely. Yes. And part of that is showing them where they can go, that advancement, that development opportunity. Sometimes it's developing the skill, and then they are going to stay, and they do want to be able to stay with you and not move on. But other times it is allowing them to see what else they can do and where else they can do, and you can help them with that. So, and ask them in the evaluation and review that we just talked about, ask them, what do you want to do? Where do you see yourself? And it's not the where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's the what do you want to do in your life, your career? Where do you see yourself going? That type of conversation, it's a human conversation. And that's where you will really get to find out what they want to do. And then you can understand how you can help them advance. So our next key is to recognize, and this is one you touched on a little bit already, Martin, to recognize to recognize accomplishments, large or small. Everyone likes to have a pat on the back now and then. Sometimes that's all it takes. Martin, you talked about your badges and levels and recognition before. That's sometimes all it is. It doesn't have to be money. Some owners think, oh my gosh, I got to put out some money to give them something. No, not necessarily.
Exactly. Like I said, status is more important than money. The data shows that. So, yeah, recognition. Of course, the opposite is true, too. You want to also tell them we have warning graphics as well with you're not doing this right. But recognition of specific stuff and using status as a way to incentivize the behavior you want, it works really well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Martin, something I meant to ask you in the other one, which ties into this a little bit. When you giving them opportunity, you have different levels of your apprentices, of your teams. So that allows them to recognize as well, right?
Yeah, and actually, so, it's martial arts, digital samurai, we do a lot of stuff based on martial arts. So our levels are based on that. The first level is minion. And we call it specifically a minion because, and there's a martial arts process called shu-ha-ri. It comes from sword. It means keep, break, leave. But what it really means is first, you do it exactly the way the sensei says. And so you're a minion. And so, in gaming, they call it noobs. The idea is that you understand that you don't know anything, right? And, they say hire a teenager while they still know everything. The smart teenagers know they don't know anything, or the 20-somethings, right? So you want to really make that very clear. You're a noob. you're a minion. And then the next level we have is apprentice. And then we have, I forget what the next level is after that. But the final level is digital samurai. Digital Ronin, then digital samurai. That's what it was. And digital ninja. So we've set these levels up, and they get a plaque and reward for these levels. But what, I use martial arts, obviously, but you don't have to do that. But it is really good to have some structure that they know that they can climb, some process that they can climb.
Yeah,
based
absolutely.
on merit. I
So
will say this, based on merit, Michelle. That's from my standpoint, that's really, really important. Merit's taking a beating these days in the media with a lot of different things. I think that's crazy, but our program is completely based on merit.
Yes, and so that's tying in the two together. So the opportunities within the organization to move up, but also recognizing the accomplishment. So your award system actually allows them to do that, and your levels allow them to do that as well. So that's key with any organization, is bringing those accomplishments forward. And when you do awarding or levels, as Martin was talking about, you're showing the rest of the team what they've accomplished. But it doesn't always have to be that specific and that key. The small wins are to be recognized as well. And as I said, whether it's a pat on the back, might be a gift card, or just you've got the employee of the month. I don't know if anybody wants to do that anymore, but it's sometimes just as small as recognizing when the team in the huddle that we talked about before, you can recognize everybody, clap. Joe did a great thing yesterday. Yay, Joe. Something as small as that for some people will really make a difference. And based on the personality types, for some, it's very important. For others, not so much. But for some, that's being able to get noticed and get recognized is really, really important. So make sure that you're doing.
You're right, especially for extroverts and people that are people persons. But it's really important to understand that it doesn't take much to do it, and as a business, you get much more out of it. Even speaking from the business standpoint, you really want to do this because that's how you're going to get the best results from your workers.
Absolutely. So just to summarize our 5 keys. So we've got the team huddle versus the team meeting, the 2-way evaluation and review, not tied to compensation, creating team building, team bonding opportunities, and number 4, advancement and development opportunity. And then the last one, recognize accomplishments, whether they're large or small. So those are our keys. I will put those in the comments afterwards. And now it's time for our quick tip. And Martin, so you have a quick tip for us. We're going to go rapid fire. What's number 1?
Okay, the first quick tip is so you can. The 3 most important words in marketing. Now, this comes from a marketing guru that I work with who's done, $100 million worth of business. So you can bridges what you want the person to do to what to get. You look at this product or service so you can get to whatever it is you want to do, right? And, funny thing is the Grammarly always wants to change it for me, right? Sometimes marketing isn't specifically grammatically correct, okay? And this is one of those places. You put so you can in as many times as you can, the 3 most important words in marketing.
Excellent. And our second quick tip.
The second quick tip is Bitly. Now, a lot of you probably heard of Bitly. It's one of the most popular URL shorteners. But shortening is, frankly, the least important thing to do with it. I will say this. Don't put long URLs into an email or a chat. It's messy. It's boring. It doesn't look good. It's not professional. You can always hide them behind a link if it's in, or words, a title if it's in mail. But shortening the URL in Bitly, then branding it. I think branding's probably the most valuable thing that Bitly does. So if you're sending a proposal, you can say Johnson proposal 2023 or something like that, and you make it short-ish. Okay, you don't want it to be really, really long, but it doesn't have to be like 5 characters. 2 or 3 words. Maybe some of them you put a dash between. Maybe you don't. Use capitalization on words, so title case because it doesn't affect the URL. Right? So make a Bitly that's short, that has specifically what for proposal for X or value for Y, whatever it is you're saying, right? You want to put that in there. And then, of course, the fine thing is you can track it. So even without paying for Bitly, it tells you at least, was it opened in social? Was it US or Canada? That kind of thing. So shortening, branding, and tracking, but particular branding the message. You never want to send a URL that isn't customized in some way. And this is how you do that.
Excellent. And Bitly is something not everybody wants to click on a Bitly anymore, but I think enough people still do that. It's a great thing to use. And you say branding is really a good key to utilizing it well.
Yeah, so, and of course the thing is, if it's someone you're already working with and done something with, then it's not going to be a problem, right? So, yeah.
Exactly. And our third tip.
Third tip is Chrome Reading Tool. Chrome Reading Tool. Using Chrome, which is the most popular browser, but there's a number of things you can do to make it more efficient for you for working. First of all, you can, of course, keep tabs open. Some people may not want to do that. And then there's the bookmark bar below, right? You want these to be 1 or 2 clicks away at most, which is why we don't use the full bookmarks. We use the bar, we use tabs, and now we have this new tool, Chrome Reading List. Reading List icon is in the upper right-hand corner, right beside your picture of how you log into Chrome. The way up in the upper right-hand corner beside the 3 dots. It's a little square with a square inside of it. You can Google it to find it. But it's really good for saving a quick website. Say, oh, okay, I got to get back to this too. It's a temporary place. The thing I'll say about both bookmarks and reading list is you have to do your work on it. Like you would with your lawn, you don't leave it so that weeds grow all over the place. And so what I'm saying is delete stuff from the list, okay? Because tools like Bookmark or Chrome List, if you've got 100 things on it, it's useless because you won't find anything. So you put things on there temporarily, but take them off as well, which we call housekeeping. So you want to do housekeeping on it. That's a general rule for lots of stuff you do. Less is more. Lists and savings and bookmarks and all these things and table of contents, they're no good if you have 100 things on them. So use it, yes, but make sure you delete the things from it when you're done.
Excellent. And yes, I got to put my hand up for saying I've got to clean mine up. I don't do that as often as I should. And that little reading list thing, I always think of it as the black and white door. So yes, it's a square, but one side is white, one side is black. So that's how I think of it. Yeah. So excellent tips. I think I need to explain to my brother the definition of rapid fire. But those were some really great tips for sure. Mm-hmm. So now we have our...
I'm a little loquacious and chatty, so there we go.
You don't say. Now we have our Digital Samurai micro lesson for today.
Okay, so the micro lesson for today is about Google Keep. Google Keep is, of course, comes with the Google suite of programs, whether it's the free one with Gmail or Google Workspace, the pay one for business. Google Keep is, in my opinion, the most important program in the suite. And that's because it allows you, and it's designed to capture information coming into your digital world, archive it, then retrieve it easily and quickly, and then share effortlessly with your team. It allows you to do that, but in any format you want. So what I mean is you can save in Google Keep a text note, a list of text, a voice note, a drawing, what else I'm missing, a photo. And it has machine learning. So if you just put a photo in there of a cat and you search for cat, it'll find it. So just like, a number of the other programs these days, Google Keep has machine learning. And it also has OCR. So if you have a paragraph of something you see on a website, oh, I like that, I want to use that quote. You can grab that paragraph, especially if you do it in your phone, share it to Google Keep on your phone, then it comes up as just that graphic. And then you go in the menu, go grab image text, and Keep will read the text. So it's specifically designed with all the tools you need to capture things quickly. And this is what I always talk about. In this day, in the digital age, the age of cognitive augmentation, speed is critical. Because it's about freshness, it's about newness, it's about the latest thing. So the faster you can bring information in, I saw that quote, I want to make a thing about this, you can take that idea and then process it into something. The faster you can do that, the better. He who uses these tools best wins. And it really, really does come down to that. When everyone in the world has all these tools, the better you use the tool, the more advantage you will have. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And Martin, I was just
going to
say,
Michelle?
Well, I was just going to say with Google Keep as well, one of the things that I find that clients, a lot of people don't even know where it is. Now, if you're using Apple, that's a different scenario, but hopefully you're using Chrome. And I like to call it the Rubik's Cube, the 9 dots. When you're in your Google account, those 9 dots, you pull it down or click on it and you see Google Keep. It's like an electronic Post-it note. So that's where you find it. And it's there. If you have the account, you've got it and it's free. So it's easy to use.
Now, the second thing in that regard is, as Michelle said, Google Keep is in the suite of programs in there. I call it the Rubik's Cube. But also you want to go into Chrome extensions and download the extension for that. It's a little yellow thing with a light bulb on it, and you press it once. So you're on a website, you press it once. I want to remember that site. And it'll come up and create a Keep note. And then you can go to Keep and add more stuff to it. The other key thing about Keep is that if you can see it, you have access to it because it saves it locally. So it doesn't matter if you have internet or not. If you can see it, you have access. It comes up on all devices. It integrates into iOS, Chrome, Chromebooks. So it's available on all platforms. And it's integrated into other Google stuff. So you can be in Google Docs and save to Keep. You can be in spreadsheets and save to Keep. You can be in Gmail and save to Keep. So it's ubiquitous across Google. It saves things in a few steps. It saves them in any format, and you always have access to it. And so using that as the staging area for information coming into your digital world is very valuable. But you want to then go put the stuff elsewhere. But it's really good for saving, again, that website, but not just the website, but also a couple key points about that website. Michelle, how do you use Keep in regards to sending out information to DMing people and stuff like that?
Yes, I'm glad you asked me that because that's my favorite way of using Google Keep. I love it. This can only be done on your phone, but when you have Google Keep, you can put something on it that you send out all the time. For instance, a lot of people have a business card or a digital business card, but you can literally make a business card in Google Keep. It's got your pictures, got all your contact information, and you can send that to people DM. You can do it on any social media site when they're messaging. You can do it on WhatsApp. You can do it as text message. But more than that, you can, if there's other information, for instance, I have a friend's jerk chicken sauce, going on a little tangent here. And she's coming into Vancouver. She's bringing some. So I've reached out to some friends who'd like some to get what they're wanting. And I have the information for her sauce with a picture in Google Keep. So I don't have to keep retyping all of that every time. I just go into Keep on my phone. I go to the send. I think it says send there much, and it's got the dots. And it asks me what app I want to send it to. And I can send it to people as a text message. I can send it to people on LinkedIn, on Messenger. The thing I love about it is it also sends the graphic. So sometimes it's at the top, sometimes it's at the bottom, but it sends the graphic with the information so that they can see that, and it's easy for them to find on their phone. So I love using it in that.
That's a really good point, Michelle. In fact, I'll say a couple of things from a tactical standpoint. So you can have it on your phone, and it's like you're beaming it to the person, right? So share to. Now, as Michelle just said, you can share it to WhatsApp or LinkedIn DMs or whatever. And from a tactical standpoint, those have much higher open rates than email. So think in an email, you might have the graphic and then blah, 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 and then the link you want them to do. Well, you can do all three of those on a Keep note as well, and then beam it to their DM where they're much more likely to see it. In fact, Gary Vaynerchuk talks about how DMing is one of the best opportunities. So, you DM 50 people. You DM 100 people, you're going to get some responses, and more than you might get if you simply emailed them. So I can't talk enough about Google Keep. It's the most powerful tool that we use because managing and processing information is the most important thing you do, because that's how you get business.
Absolutely. And I do use it for business things as well. The Grow Your Biz, the peer-to-peer board advisory board that I'm a chair for, I have all the information for that. When people are interested in the group, I will send that to them as a DM as well. So you can use it for all different kinds of things. Actually,
let me add that, Michelle. So that's a really good use case. You have your whatever you send out to new prospects or whatever it might be. And so instead of typing out the email every time, you have that information in a Keep note. And whether you send it through Keep or just copy it to an email or whatever, you have that. And it's updated. right? So it's really important to have that information in Keep in one place, because then if it gets updated, anyone else you shared that with has the most updated information. So then you could be on the phone with someone talking about them. I've heard this as a sales strategy. And you're talking about whatever the product is. You say, you know what, let me just send you this right now. You send it to them while you're on the phone, because it just took you 2 seconds because of the process we just said. And now you can discuss it and perhaps even close them or get them to take some further action. As opposed to, I'll send it to you after you get off the call in an email, right? Which one's more effective? Because you can do that with Keep. It makes it much more valuable.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now you'd have to say, "Give me a second." I'm on my phone.
Yeah, probably.
Yes, you would need to do that. But absolutely. And Martin mentioned searching earlier as well. I want to say that's the searching in Google Keep. So when he's talking about it's there, you can find it. You actually can search in Google Keep. So if I search for jerk sauce or I search for grow your biz, that comes up in my Keep, and there's the note, and I'm doing that on my phone.
Yeah, and Google
can
Keep,
also pin them.
Yeah. Google Keep has the best search of any Google product, so you really, it's really good for finding, images, pictures, graphics, whatever it is.
And Martin, if they want the micro lesson, what can they do?
Yes, if you want the micro lesson, send us a DM or post a comment, and we have lots of micro lessons on Keep. But if you haven't used it, and especially in the way we're talking about here, it's the fantastic program for the staging area for information management around everything else that you do, especially if you use Google products.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's excellent. So thank you, Martin. It's been fun. This has been a fun one, talking about some things today. We'll continue to share our journey guiding business owners to monetize their story and to develop their IP while we're empowering 1 million African youth entrepreneurs. From the twins, Michelle and Martin Ricketts, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.